Look at you, Sarah. 40 years old and still nothing to show for it. That's what her husband said right before slamming the door. Sarah stood in silence, still holding the burnt toast in her hand. It was her birthday. No gift, no kiss. Just words sharp enough to scar. That same week, she lost her job. Budget cuts, they said. But Sarah knew it was more than that. She'd become invisible, a woman too quiet, too tired, too easy to overlook. At home, her husband mocked her. Can't even keep a job. Guess I'll have to do everything again. He hadn't worked in months. She wanted to scream, but she just nodded the way she always did. Days later, her car broke down. She couldn't afford the repairs. She took the bus, and that's when she saw it. A group of teenagers laughing at her shoes, at her worn-out coat. One of them whispered, "She looks homeless." Sarah sat quietly, eyes fixed on the window, pretending the reflection wasn't hers. That night, she cried for hours until there were no tears left. Then she whispered to herself, "This can't be my ending." She took a notebook, wrote down everything she'd ever loved doing, sewing, repairing, creating. The next day, she took the last $60 she had and bought a used sewing machine. She started fixing torn clothes for neighbors, then redesigning old dresses. People loved her work, and word spread fast. Within months, she opened a small booth at the local market. She called it Second Chances. A year later, Second Chances by Sarah had its own store. Bright windows, soft music, lines of people waiting for her touch of magic. Then one afternoon, as she adjusted a dress on a mannequin, the bell above the door rang. It was him. Her husband. He looked around, stunned. "This is yours?" Sarah nodded. I need a place to stay," he stammered. She smiled softly. "You were right, David. I had nothing to show for it." She handed him a folded jacket from the rack. "But I learned how to rebuild what you broke." He reached for her hand. She stepped back. "Good luck, David. Life gives second chances, just not to everyone." She turned away, the hum of her sewing machine filling the room like applause. Sometimes life breaks you to see if you'll rise or stay shattered, and when you do rise, you'll never bow again. If this story touched your heart, comment amen and share it with someone who needs strength today.